Hello, everybody. Welcome to my pitiful Big Finish and audio CD collection video. I say pitiful because it is not as big as a lot of others you can find on this website. But I decided, since it's been like 2 years since I've actually shown what my Big Finish collection looks like, that I might as well do a little sort of collection update video. So here it is. Uh, let's start out with the actually not Big Finish releases, which are right here. And yeah, the first two are music releases, so we'll get through that real quick. The first one is the Five Doctors audio CD. Well, I say audio CD, soundtrack CD. It comes with the Doctor Who theme from the 1980s: Enlightenment, The King's Demons, The Five Doctors, Warriors of the Deep, The Awakening, Resurrection of the Daleks, Planet of Fire, The Caves of Androzani, and the Reprise Doctor Who theme, which is... it's basically the season 21 soundtrack CD. And so next is the Doctor Who and the Daleks soundtrack, which, actually watching Doctor Who and the Daleks, you don't realize it has an actually pretty good soundtrack. So I started listening to the CD one night, and just for the lulls, it turned out I actually really liked it. So yeah, this is a little hidden gem. The Dead Shoes. We'll get to that in a sec, since the next one is related to it. So, I have the Complete Nest Cottage Chronicles. Why I also have a single release version of the Dead Shoes, there's an actual anecdote behind this. So I got the Dead Shoes for Christmas one year from my uncle, and had no idea what was going on in it, but the Dead Shoes itself seemed like a pretty cool story. So I went and bought The Stuff of Nightmares, listened to that, then listened to Dead Shoes, and decided, okay, yeah, they're pretty decent. Then I just stopped. I didn't buy this until a few months ago, when I saw it for a pretty decent price on Amazon, so that's how that came to be. I have now listened to all the Hornet's Nest audios. I have not listened to Demon's Quest or Serpent's Crest. So that does it for the BBC audio stuff. Now we're moving on to Big Finish. First Big Finish audio is Shada, the audio version of the animation. Yeah, Paul McGann's Shada is probably my favorite version of Shada. I haven't seen the new animation because, well, it's not out in America yet, but I look forward to it because I really liked this version of Shada, and yeah, it's just a great release, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen the animation already. Crooked Man, which is a very good story. Requiem for the Rocket Men, which is kind of shit. I'm not gonna lie, this story I don't particularly like. Next up is The Sirens of Time, which it's a very beat up copy of it because it is very old, and I did mistreat it when I was younger. So, Sirens of Time. I mean, it's very Big Finish. I give it a pass because it's just Big Finish finding their feet, learning how to do the audio drama format. None of these people on the cover here are actually comfortable recording audio yet, so it is a bit of a weird listen. Skipping a few years, we've got Scherzo, which is a really good story, and the last full play that Rob Shearman did for Big Finish. After that, we've got The Twilight Kingdom. Funny story about this. This was actually meant to be a CD copy of Creed of the Crommen, which is I actually like Creed of the Crommen, but This is a pretty terrible story. I'm not gonna lie. It's really dull. It's really boring, and it actually put me off Doctor Who audios for a while. So yeah, I don't recommend this. However, if you're trying to go through a Paul McGann marathon like I still am, uh, it's just for completionist purposes. Don't buy that. It's not good. About over 20 releases later, we do have a really, really good release, which for some reason I put it out of order. Just fix that real quick. Yeah, sorry about that, Night Thoughts. We'll get back to you in a second. The next one I have is The Harvest. I'm currently re-listening to this one, and I'm finding that I'm enjoying it more on re-listen, but the first time I listened to it, it was really boring. So take that for what it is. I think I'm starting to like it, but the first listen was really, really bad. The Juggernauts. This is actually my favorite Davros story of all time. I have listened to Davros, and there's a reason as to why I don't like Davros as much, which I'll get into in a moment here. But the Juggernauts is just, whew. The ending is great and sad and beautiful, and this is a really great Mel story, simply because Mel's really good at it, and it's a six story, and any Big Finish six story is good for the most part, or at least the ones I've heard. Uh, Terra Firma, which is the first Big Finish CD I bought. It's a really good story. I like it. I like what it does with Davros. And here's Night Thoughts. Okay. This is possibly my favorite Big Finish audio of all time. This story is so dark and morbid and creepy, and it does something that a lot of Doctor Who audios don't do. Upon re-listen, you actually get a better experience than the first time. Because the first time you're just in shock that Doctor Who's doing something this grotesque. And then the second time, it's a huge mystery story, and it does take a lot of twists and turns, and it's very complex. So, upon re-listen, you actually get a lot more than you did the first time. It's just really great, and I recommend it for that reason, because despite me loving most of the stories I have on CD, they don't offer a lot on re-listen. It's pretty much the same experience, but without the shock value of, oh my god, Davros just became the Emperor, and shit I'm not gonna spoil that you get in Terra Firma. So, Night Thoughts, highly recommended. Give Big Finish your money for this one. This is great. I'd say better than Chimes of Midnight, but that's obviously debatable. The Reaping. This is one I haven't actually listened to all the way through. I plan on it, but I've tried, but I for some reason I keep getting distracted every time I try to listen to it. People are always dragging me away. I don't know, I just choose the worst time to try and listen to this, and then something happens and I have to put this on pause and I never come back to it. So, I've heard it's really good, and I do want to listen to it, but I just can never find the time. 45, another one I have not listened to all the way through. I've listened to the first story in this release, but whoops. Again, not one that I've found myself having the time for. This is actually my most recent Big Finish purchase, The Silver Turk. My god, what a good Cyberman story. Not as good as Spare Parts. I mean, I like both stories. I think they're both fantastic, but it's obviously not as good as Spare Parts, but Silver Turk is just fucking great. Buy it. Next up is Curse of Davros, which, again, a really good Six and Davros story. I really enjoyed it. There's a nice twist in the middle, which you can sort of see coming, but it still works really well, and you're like, hell yeah, when it comes. So, and here's possibly the most controversial trilogy of all in my collection that I love to bits. Persuasion. I really like Persuasion, Starlight Robbery, and Daleks Among Us, which is actually autographed by the guy who plays Davros, which is awesome. Okay, so those three stories. I'm not sure what the general consensus is on them. I don't think Starlight Robbery was well received at all. But I really like all three of them, and I think they come together to make a really, really nice little arc. I just love it to bits. But I can see it. I can see this trilogy being a trilogy that a lot of people don't like, because it does have a lot of flaws. So if somebody could tell me if these stories have been well received, so I know that I'm right, or if I'm just fucking crazy, please tell me, because I like all three of those stories. Moving on to The Entropy Plague, which I do have Mistfall and Equilibrium on download. I wanted to buy this on CD since it's the finale, which Entropy Plague, the cover makes it look really creepy. It's not that creepy, but it is a good story, and I won't spoil the ending, because the ending is really, really nice, and it's a tearjerker, man. Another tearjerker of a story, the Peterloo Massacre, which I actually had signed by Nicholas Briggs. Again, great story, and it's by one of my favorite writers, Paul Mars, who also wrote The Nest Cottage Chronicles and probably a few other stories over here. I just haven't been paying attention. But Paul Mars is one of my favorite Big Finish writers, and this is probably his most tear-jerking story of all. You get so invested in the characters that at the end of it, you're angry at the story because of what it does to the characters. It's that good. Okay, and the final main range release is Fiesta of the Damned. Fiesta of the Damned. What can I say? It feels like something straight out of Sylvester McCoy's television run. It's got the McCoy vibe. It's got the creep factor. It sort of falls apart towards the second half, but I'd still recommend it just because it does return that nice soft McCoy vibe. And I'll do these two releases at once. Short Trips Volume 3, Short Trips Volume 4. They are both very different volumes of Short Trips, but they're short trips. Volume 3 is really, really good. It probably has one of my favorite stories in it. I can't remember which one it is, and it doesn't list them on the back. But I believe there are a couple stories in here that I really, really love, and Short Trips Volume 4, the 6th Doctor story and the 8th Doctor story in this one are really good. The rest are pretty terrible, though. Okay, moving on to special releases now. We have... Ooh, that one's actually backwards. Music from the new Audio Adventures Volume 3. I got this one because it's Russell Stone, and I just love the shit out of Russell Stone's music scores, if that's not evident in my own audio dramas. So that's why I have that. Same with music from the 8th Doctor Adventures and the 5th Doctor Adventures. Bottom for the Russell Stone scores. The only one I'm missing is music from the 7th Doctor Audio Adventures, but there's a video around for that one, which I didn't upload it, but somebody else uploaded it. I think they're going by the name NWP Broadcasting at the moment, so check them out. The Russell Stone scores are really good, the rest are a bit but that's why I have those. Moving on to the only Big Finish box set in my collection, Classic Doctor's New Monsters. This is a really, really nice box set, and I remember being really excited when buying it. Fallen Angel, really, really good. Judoon in Chains, probably my favorite out of the set. Harvest of the Sycorax is a bit eh. And the Suntaran Ordeal is also great. So I definitely recommend it, because if we're going on story rankings alone, it's a 75%, but I'd give the box set an 8, at least an 8 out of 10, because Judoon in Chains is really good. Okay, so next up, oh, I did a lot of these ones backwards. Okay, the Apocalypse Mirror. This is one I haven't listened to all the way through. I actually haven't started listening to it at all, so I can't really say anything on it. Oh, man. I'm terrible at this. Next is Suntarans, which I really did enjoy the Suntarans. It's a great Sarah Kingdom story. I'm just going to start doing it from this angle. There's the beginning of my messy Doctor Who book collection. So, Lords of the Red Planet, which is what I've heard is a really good story. If you go over to my friend Jacob Licklider's channel, you will see he really, really loves this story. He absolutely loves it to bits. And coming to the end of the Big Finish collection here, we have Masters of War. It's alright. And then I, Davros. This is the reason I don't like Davros, okay? Because I listened to I, Davros first, and a lot of the reason that people love... The big reason people love Davros is because it explains so much of Davros to the audience. But I, Davros does that on a... It has 4 audios to do that. So basically, if you listen to I, Davros before Davros, everything in Davros becomes meaningless because you already know it. Davros is basically not even a recap, because it was released before these, and these stay true to Davros. Everything that happens here, Davros talks about in I, Davros. So if you listen to these first, you're basically spoiling yourself. This series is a great series. I absolutely adore it. It's a great spin-off series. But if you listen to it before Davros, you kind of ruin Davros for yourself, which is a bit sad. So yeah, that's my pretty measly Big Finish collection. And when I say measly, I mean, I think it's a decent size just by looking at it, but it's not as big as somebody else's, or anybody else's. Mine's probably the smallest on YouTube now. But yeah, so that's my Big Finish collection. I hope you guys found this video somewhat interesting. I mean, I do have some pretty interesting releases in here. For example, the music CDs, which I don't see a lot of people owning, but they are good CDs, and I'm glad to have them in my collection. I just wish I had the 7th Doctor one so my Russell Stone discography could be complete. But yeah, so that I guess that's an update on my Big Finish collection. So this is my video for next week. This has been filmed like a week in advance. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you later. Bye.